Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock. This is Midday. I'm Becky Bruce, in for Maria Shilaos. KSL's top story this hour, we're getting new details on the fire that ripped through some of downtown Salt Lake City's well-known restaurants and bars. We begin our live team coverage with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera, who's live with the details. Eric?
Becky, Salt Lake City Fire believes the flame started in the kitchen at the London Bell just after 8:30 last night, then spread into a hidden space between the ceiling and roof. Nearly 80 firefighters from multiple agencies fought the fire for hours that damaged 5 businesses, including London Bell, Whitehorse, Whiskey Street, and Los Tapatillos. Losses are estimated at $5 million, and dozens of employees are now without work. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall says the city will help.
These are iconic businesses in our downtown core. We're going to be working as a city to support this community, and we need to wrap our arms as a community around them right now. 3
firefighters were hurt, but all are expected to recover. The cause is still under investigation. Reporting live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
People in the downtown area are reacting to the loss of these historic businesses. KSL News Radio's Adam Small continues our live team coverage.
This street has a lot of meaning.
Brandon Jones says he's spent a lot of time in this area during his life.
I've taught my kids how to longboard on this street.
And after a long day of driving people around for Uber, he tells me he loved to stop by Whiskey Street for a drink or a bite to eat. He even dropped someone off less than 2 hours before the fire started, but then he saw smoke when he came back later in the night.
I pulled over and came in as an officer, and it told me it was these buildings, and my heart sank. I mean, it's just a staple of the city.
Darren Freese tells me Whiskey Street was one of his favorite restaurants and even brought his friends there to eat right before the fire broke out.
Oh, it's terrible. Absolutely. I sent pictures back to my family and friends who also know the place, and they just can't believe it.
And Jones says now,
I think that we need to definitely come together as a community and help each other out and try to get these businesses back to where they need to go, but also try to get the building into a standpoint where, it can be whole again.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson says she's worried about the owners who lost their businesses overnight in the downtown fire, and she hopes the historic nature of the buildings will still be intact.
My hope is that Salt Lake City would prioritize the return. Let's not put just a mega building to cover the acreage that was burned. Let's restore in a way where we can honor those small businesses and support them and get back at it.
Wilson says she hopes insurance will help the owners in the short term while the community rallies around them for the long term. We have photos and video from the fire posted at kslnewsradio.com. We'll also be talking about the devastation with the executive director of Salt Lake City's Downtown Alliance, and that's coming up live at 12:15. Salt Lake City police say a person is in critical condition after someone shot them and took their truck. This happened around 2:30 this morning near West California Avenue. Police say 3 people were in a pickup truck when a fight broke out. One of the passengers shot the driver and then took the truck. It was found abandoned shortly after. Police have not yet arrested the suspect, but they say there's no danger to the public because they believe it was an isolated incident. KSL's top national stories this hour. More details are out about the suspected shooter who opened fire at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention last week near Emory University. A police officer died in the shooting. Police say the suspect was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at a pharmacy across the street from the CDC.
Preliminary information from DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office indicates that Officer David Rose's injuries were caused by one of the shooter's weapons. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Chris Hosey with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation says 500 shell casings were found at the scene. The suspect may have been suffering from mental health issues, and police say authorities were called to his family's home weeks before this shooting. Police in Austin, Texas are naming the man who opened fire outside of a Target store on Monday and killed 3 people.
Police in Austin are now identifying the shooter as 32-year-old Ethan Nynecker. The motive for the shooting remains unclear, but police say he has a history of mental illness. After shooting his victims in the Target parking lot, police say he stole a car and took off. He allegedly crashed into several other cars before getting out and stealing another car from a dealership. He was eventually caught when he was spotted on the other side of the city. Alex Stone, ABC News.
The plan to increase public transit in South Salt Lake is crawling along. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly reports.
The vision for South Salt Lake around 2100 South includes new housing with retail spaces and more transit in the area. The South Salt Lake Planning Commission approved what it calls an aspirational document for a more urban future of the city. However, the ideas still need to get funded, especially for UTA's part of the plan, which will add additional stops on the S line. According to Building Salt Lake, Deputy Community Development Director Eliza Ungrich told commissioners they also hope to build a train crossing at Utopia Avenue to link the street to the Central Point Station at 2100 South. While these future plans are approved, they also require zoning changes. Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Let's check in with Andy Farnsworth.
Well, we start off with some heavy traffic going south on I-15 through the roadwork right around the Shepherd Lane overpass towards the Park Lane turnoff in Farmington. That's the only freeway delay I'm seeing so far for your noon hour. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Fire officials now say that 5 businesses were damaged and 3 firefighters were injured because of that fire on Salt Lake City's Main Street last night. We'll have more coming up. 3 separate Ogden apartment building fires caused millions of dollars in damage in recent weeks. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson spoke to the Ogden fire chief about the concerning trend and whether those fires are related.
We're on heightened alert, and we've informed our police department and our fire department when they're out and about to go by these structures. I know a lot of the contractors are placing cameras and fencing around their properties.
Chief Mike Slater says all 3 fires are still under investigation. So far, there isn't evidence to show that the fires are related to one another. But the trend might be because recent growth has spurred construction of high-density housing in the area, and unfinished buildings with exposed wood are especially prone to fires. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Dispatchers have a new tool now to help them shave minutes off of response time for the people who need help. A bill passed this previous legislative session required a uniform system to help dispatchers coordinate air ambulances, hospitals, and dispatch centers. Now KSL TV reports they have access to a map showing who's available and where they are.
It's been fantastic both for the dispatchers and for the field responders. We can watch that call move, or that helicopter move in real time towards that scene.
Executive Director of Weber 911, Kevin Rose, says they've been impressed with the results and can now shave minutes off their response times. School bells are already ringing, and KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports some kids could unknowingly be breaking the law by riding e-bikes to school.
South Jordan police want parents to know the rules of e-bikes and scooters so their kids don't break any laws. It depends on how fast the e-bike can go. South Jordan Police Lieutenant Chase Winder says e-motorcycles look like e-bikes but can go up to 70 miles per hour.
They need to have a driver's license
registration, insurance, the proper equipment, everything that you would need on a regular motor vehicle.
Kids need to be 8 years of age to ride any e-bike and 14 years of age to ride Class 2 e-bikes. Lieutenant Winder stresses that all riders should have helmets. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 12:10. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, no crashes on the drive through the Midday so far, but we do have the southbound slowdown due to road work, slowing in mostly between the truck pullout in Kaysville and Park Lane in Farmington as you head south. Then the rest of the way south to Salt Lake is moving just fine. If you're heading towards Ogden, I-15, all clear this morning. I guess it's this afternoon. I'm going to have to get used to that. Northbound 15 right now, a little bit slow between 33rd South and I-80. Don't see any freeway delay on I-15 in Utah County, but I do see some slowing on Mountain View Corridor. Just a little bit of wait time both directions around 3500 South. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. I'm Andy Farnsworth at the KSL Traffic Center.
Dialing up mostly sunny skies today with a high of 96. 100 degrees tomorrow. That would be our 6th on the season. Partly cloudy skies. I'm going mostly cloudy by Thursday afternoon with a 20 to 30% chance to see a pop-up shower. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now it is sunny and 84 degrees in Provo, 83 in Ogden, 85 and sunny right here in Salt Lake City. Coming up on Midday, a lot of heavy hearts today after a devastating fire that destroyed beloved businesses in the heart of Salt Lake City. We'll talk to the Downtown Alliance about where they're going to go from here. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It is the time of year for you to get ready for back to school and the Labor Day weekend that is not too far off in the distance. It's time to make your reservations for Labor Day at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And while you're doing all of that shopping, getting the kids ready for their higher education, whether it's downtown Salt Lake City or up in the Park City area, there's a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse waiting for you. Now, these long, hard days of shopping, you deserve a treat at the end of that day. And at 275 Southwest Temple in downtown Salt Lake City, Ruth's Chris is ready to take care of you. And up at Park City with the outlets and everything there, why don't you make your reservations at Hotel Park City's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? The meal you have been longing for. Best of all, you don't have to prepare it. You don't have to clean up after it. You just have to sit back and enjoy that delicious steak, entree, dessert, side dishes at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
It's been a long, hot summer here in Utah, and let's be honest, many yards and gardens are looking a little tired. But good news, as the nights start to cool, now is the perfect time to revive your yard. Yes, it's time to get our outdoor spaces ready for back to school and all your favorite fall activities. At Olson's Greenhouse, we're bringing in fresh shipments every week of vibrant garden mums and beautiful fall bedding plants to help you refresh your outdoor spaces. Cooler nights and warm soil create the ideal conditions for planting, and your perennials will thank you next spring. So whether you're sprucing up the porch, replanting your flower beds, or decorating for harvest season, Olson's Greenhouse has everything you need to make your garden thrive again. To find a retailer of Olson's plants near you, visit ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens. That's ogg.com, or find ideas and inspiration on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
A Attorneys for death row inmate Ralph Menzies are now asking the court for an expedited ruling on his competency. Menzies, of course, was sentenced to death for the murder of Maureen Hunsaker 40 years ago. They have petitioned several times for the court to re-examine whether Menzies is mentally competent enough to be executed. Most recently, on July 23rd, they're asking for the judge's decision immediately in the hopes of stopping his execution, which as of now is set for September 5th. KSL News Time, 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
people in downtown Salt Lake City are calling last night's fire at an historic business building heart-wrenching, saying this was the heart of Salt Lake City. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, a person is in critical condition after they were shot in Salt Lake City overnight by someone else in their car. Third, traffic and weather together.
Well, traffic is still crash-free at the moment, although traffic is heavy through the construction on South 15 in Kaysville. You're good to go into Canyons, and so far on most city streets, even around the Salt Lake Valley. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
The warming trend has started, folks. 96 today with a triple possible tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Currently sunny, 85 degrees in the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Here's our top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The investigation continues into the steel plant explosion at the Claritin Coke Works facility outside Pittsburgh. 2 workers were killed in that incident. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro at a briefing today says Timothy Quinn, a second-generation steel worker, died, along with a second victim. That family requested his name be kept private. Shapiro offered condolences and vowed to find out what caused the blast.
We owe them an answer for what happened. We owe them the answers to their questions, and we owe them to never forget the sacrifices that occurred here yesterday.
Investigators are also looking into safety records at the facility. In Austin, Texas, police have identified the gunman they say opened fire in a Target parking lot yesterday, killing 3 people.
32-year-old Ethan Ninecker was a man who opened fire on his victims in the Target parking lot in Austin on Monday, according to police. They say he shot his victims and then stole a car and took off, killing the owner of that car. He allegedly crashed into other cars before he got out and stole a different car from a dealership. Then he was later caught. The motive for all of it is unclear, but police say he has a history of mental illness. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Hundreds of National Guard troops have been mobilized to assist law enforcement in Washington, D.C., a day after President Trump announced plans to take control over D.C. police to help curb crime. The mayor, along with the Metropolitan Police, say they're working with the Trump administration.
800 National Guard troops are being deployed. We're being told by the Army that 100 to 200 troops are going to be working at any given time, essentially being just support teams for law enforcement. They're not going to be doing anything exactly law enforcement on the ground, but more of just a presence. And the Army tells us that there are 3 main tasks that they are going to be doing. One is administrative, other one's logistics, and then that physical presence as well.
ABC's Perry Russum. You're listening to ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. Salt Lake City officials say 5 businesses have been impacted by a fire on Main Street last night. It's out now, but it cost more than $5 million in damage for these beloved staples, including Whiskey Street, White Horse, the London Bell, and Los Tapatíos. Joining me now live is Dee Brewer, Executive Director of Salt Lake City's Downtown Alliance. Dee, what do these businesses mean to the community?
Well, Becky, these are certainly at ground zero of the entertainment economy, the social economy, which is so important to the larger downtown economy. But let's put this in context. These are 4 of 220 restaurants, bars, and merchants downtown. Lots of tears today on Main Street and hugs, and I'm happy to report, too, resolve. Many of some of the other restaurants on Main Street today were asking me how they could help with the employees, the hundreds of employees who are displaced, but also to support their neighbors and their community members there. And I was heartened to hear that.
Wonderful to hear that, yes. It's not just a loss because of the businesses, though. It's the buildings themselves, too, right? Can you talk to me about the historical significance?
You know, these buildings were built between 1910 and 1920. They have been a staple of small businesses since that time. All of these businesses are Utah businesses, independent businesses. Based on what we see there, we expect that the facades can be preserved. but the damage is extensive inside. And so I think you will see, and the city is committed to fast-tracking all of the permitting, construction, the remediation that needs to happen there so that they can rebuild as soon as possible.
You spoke a little bit about that help from those fellow business owners downtown. Is there anything the community can do to lend their support?
I think people may be scared by the notion of there having been a fire in the area, but let's not forget that there are another 15, 20 businesses on that block alone and many others around there. A couple of them lost power. They need another day to restore their food reserves and such, but I know that myself, my team, we're going to be in those existing businesses having a bite and a beverage this week, and that's what the community can do, is to support everyone. There are also programs that will be coming soon through the city and through the Alliance to help support those businesses in their rebuilding efforts.
All right. Thank you so much. Dee Brewer, Executive Director of Salt Lake City's Downtown Alliance, there about the fire last night. KSL News Time 12:19. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here again is Andy Farnsworth.
North 15, a little bit heavy in South Salt Lake, but otherwise it's cleared out right now between Point of the Mountain in both directions. It's Utah County that now seeing a little bit of delay building up between 2100 North Lehigh and the Main Street Lehigh exit. It's also a bit slow going across 2100 North between Redwood and I-15. Further south down towards Spanish Fork, looks like you're fine exiting the freeway on Highway 6. Don't see any issues on I-15 coming south from Ogden down into Kaysville, but then you hit some slow and go in the construction between the Kaysville and Park Lane exits in Farmington. Mortgage rates are going down. Take advantage. Visit loansbyrick.com at Vintage Lending. Loansbyrick.com, NMLS 241179, Equal Opportunity Lender. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 96. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, increasing moisture, 100 degrees. Mostly cloudy by Thursday afternoon. Slight chance for a pop-up shower, 20% chance, 96. I've got scattered thunderstorms possible on Friday, 94. Mostly cloudy by Saturday afternoon, 91. Slight chance for showers. Drying things out on your Sunday, 93, mostly sunny. Sunshine on Monday, 94. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, it is sunny, 87 in Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Not every victory has fireworks. Sometimes it's a quiet win, like tying your shoes without gasping, walking upstairs without pausing, or being able to sit cross-legged on the floor and play with your kids. That's what soda gave me. I lost 82 pounds in just 16 weeks. And with it went the weight, the aches, the excuses. But what I gained, confidence, energy, time, and a version of myself I thought was long gone. Soda didn't overwhelm me with rules or leave me starving. I ate real food. I learned what my body needed. And the personal nutritionist, game changer. They were there with answers, encouragement, and real solutions. If you're looking for your own quiet win, this is your moment. If it worked for me, it will work for you. Go to SodaWeightLoss.com, click the Request a Nutritionist callback. It's time. You can do it. SodaWeightLoss.com. SOTA, SodaWeightLoss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Right now at S&S Roofing, get $1,000 off any roof replacement. Plus, you'll get their incredible 50-year worry-free warranty. Dial pound 250 and then say the keyword S&S Roofing for a free bid.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually, you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Utah deserves better. If your lights flicker, breakers trip, or something just doesn't feel safe, the last thing you need is someone trying to tell you your electrical panel needs to be replaced, your house needs to be rewired, and you should probably rewire your neighbor's house too. But sadly, that's exactly what's happening since a lot of home service companies have been bought out by private equity groups that are focused on profits and not people. At Your Service Pros is different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not quotas. That's why we offer a full electrical inspection for just $49. We'll check everything, your panel, wiring, outlets, grounding, and give you an honest report. If it's safe, we'll say so. If it's not, we'll explain exactly what needs to be done and help you fix it the right way, without pressure. We've served Utah families for over 20 years, and we're proud of the 4.9-star rating from people who trust us to do things right. So call out Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO to schedule your $49 electrical inspection. That's 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
Arrests in the case of a burglarized celebrity home. ABC's Lionel Weiss has ideas.
Sources say 4 people are now under arrest accused of breaking into Brad Pitt's mansion in Los Angeles. Pitt was not home when those thieves jumped a fence and entered through a front window in June. The suspects may be linked to other burglaries in the area, and police believe they were targeting large homes, not Pitt specifically. No word on what was taken.
Pitt was out of the country at the time of the robbery, promoting his new movie, F1. Spirit Airlines is back in the news with a grim warning. The company says they may not be able to make it to next year if they aren't able to improve their finances. The airline is facing some challenges in their business operations, citing a weak demand for domestic leisure travel. Walmart will pay out $5.6 million as part of a settlement after a lawsuit claimed the store overcharged customers. Multiple items like baked goods, produce, and deli items reported higher weights than what was actually inside the packaging. Taco Bell is launching a new Mountain Dew to pair with Baja Blast. It's called Baja Midnight. It's reportedly a purple version of the cult favorite. It's a combination of passion fruit and lime flavors. Your money at this moment, the market's all doing really well right now on word that maybe, just maybe, there could be a September rate cut. The Dow up 487 points, the S&P 500 up 67, the NASDAQ up about 273. A piece of Mars is now the subject of controversy.
The largest piece of Mars ever found here on Earth is now the subject of an investigation. Officials in West Africa, where it was found, are looking into the possibility it may have been smuggled. It was sold for $5 million at a New York auction last month, but Sotheby's insists it followed all legal procedures.
ABC's Rhiannon Alley reporting.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in, because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
18 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Join KSL Radio's Amanda Dixon this Friday from 3 to 5 at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road, npsstore.com. KSL News Time 1229, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, traffic is still a little bit busy in Davis County. The stretch south between Kaysville and Farmington's been an issue all morning because of the right lane restriction going down underneath the Shepherd Lane overpass bridge. There's also a bunch of delay due to the road work on Main Street going between Farmington and Centerville, right around 925 south, that intersection in Farmington, and then continuing south till you hit the Centerville border. Haven't seen a lot of slowdowns in the Salt Lake Valley Valley on any of the freeways. It's only been Mountain View where you're waiting at 3500 South. Some earlier slowing on South 15 in Lehigh has now cleared down around Main Street and 2100 North that was there just a couple of minutes ago. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 96 degrees. That's a few warmer than yesterday. We'll go 70 in the overnight, partly cloudy. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 100 degrees. That would be our 6th on the season. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time 12:30. I'm Becky Bruce filling in for Maria Shilaos today. KSL's top story this hour, more than 700,000 Salt Lake County residents are going to see their water bills increase. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District has approved an 11% rate hike. That's about an extra $38 a year, made up of property taxes and water rates. Community Engagement Department Manager Kelly Good says it's a necessary evil.
We take our fiduciary responsibility very seriously, and we do as much as we can to keep our rates low, but we need to keep up with the cost of service.
The district says without that money, it could deal with less reliable service, lower water quality, delayed repairs, and higher emergency repair costs. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Just in case you forgot, here's your reminder that today is Municipal Primary Election Day. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
It's mid-August, there's a lot going on, and thousands of kids are preparing to head back to school. So it's pretty easy to forget that you might have a ballot sitting on the kitchen counter.
Today is the day to return it. Do not put it in the mail. Go put it in a ballot drop box.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson tells Inside Sources because of the changes in election law, that ballot has to be in the hands of an election worker by 8 p.m. tonight. So if you are voting today, you can show up to a polling location or drop that ballot in a drop box. And the turnout during municipal elections, it's usually pretty dismal, so your vote can really make a difference. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. Hundreds of National Guard troops are now on the ground in Washington. The Trump administration says they're there to help D.C. police deal with crime. Here's ABC's Perry Russum.
We get to see the National Guard essentially on the streets of Washington, D.C. for the first time since 2021 after the attack at the Capitol. So a lot of questions about what this is going to look like in terms of what local leaders are saying here in Washington. It's kind of a mixed bag. You have the police union president who says he is supportive of this idea. He says his officers are just stretched way too thin.
Meanwhile, critics call it an example of federal government overreach. The Texas House of Representatives was called to order this morning with redistricting still on the agenda. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us what happened next.
As a few members milled around on the Texas House floor, Speaker Dustin Burrows picked up the gavel.
There being 95 members present, a quorum is not present.
With more than 4 dozen Democrats still out of the state to prevent a vote on a Republican-drawn congressional district map that favors GOP candidates, no action could be taken. Burrows will try again Friday. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Other national stories KSL is following this hour. Ukraine is increasing the intensity of long-range drone strikes deep into Russia just days before President Trump's scheduled meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Trump suggests Russia and Ukraine could swap land, something Zelensky has said he would not approve on his own without constitutional approval. Neither Zelensky nor European leaders have been invited to the summit. President Trump and President Putin will meet in Alaska on Friday. Another day of poor air quality in portions of the Midwest today. Hundreds of wildfires in Canada are traveling south, and outdoor activities have had to be postponed or canceled because of the haze in the air. ABC's Rebecca Jarvis is in Minneapolis.
Conditions are changing frequently here. Literally, whichever way the smoke blows, there's an impact. Here in Minnesota, they're feeling it, but they're also feeling it in Wisconsin, in the Upper Peninsula, in Michigan, essentially across the Upper Midwest. It's become an issue.
We don't appear to be impacted by those fires here in Utah. The state's Department of Environmental Quality says our air quality is good to moderate, despite several wildfires burning throughout our state. The Beulah fire off Mirror Lake Highway in Summit County continues to grow in size. It burned another 400 acres yesterday, which means 3,300 acres have now been burned. There's still no containment on the fire. A community meeting is scheduled for tonight at 7 o'clock in Evanston, Wyoming. Meanwhile, the Deer Creek fire is now 100% contained. It's been a long process, with the initial discovery reported on July 10th. It's burned more than 17,000 acres and required more than 400 people to fight it. Investigators believe that was human-caused. They've identified a suspect. We have all the latest on Utah's wildfires online at kslnewsradio.com. Just click the Utah Fire Watch tab on the top left corner of the homepage. Salt Lake theaters are welcoming back an annual tradition featuring our favorite fair-weather feline friends.
On August 16th, Broadway Center Cinemas will be showing 75 minutes of cat clownery from short videos submitted all over the country.
I laughed, I cried, I saw cats in a theater.
My face hurts from smiling. A second showing will be on August 19th. The tickets are $13.75, and a percentage of the proceeds will go towards local pet shelters and animal charities. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic, here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, the only slowdowns we've had on the freeway so far this afternoon has been the traffic backing on South 15 through Farmington, approaching the Park Lane exit. All the other freeways are fantastic at the moment, and no crashes to report right now. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
Save $200 instantly for every $800 you spend in store at Scandinavian Designs. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Today is Municipal Primary Election Day. That means you have to have your ballot turned in to the county clerk's office either by drop box or by voting in person before those polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. KSL News Time, 12:38. The University of Utah is trying to answer questions about federal student aid following the passage and signing of the Budget Reconciliation Bill last month. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has more.
The executive director of Scholarships and Financial Aid says right now it looks like there aren't going to be a lot of changes to undergraduate student aid programs.
Where I think some of the bigger changes come in are for students pursuing their master's or their doctoral degree. Those annual limits increased, which is a positive, but when those limits aren't going to be enough, what's called the Graduate Plus loan is being eliminated.
Anthony Jones says that means graduate students may need to look to more conventional loans that have higher interest rates and don't get deferred until a student graduates. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Researchers have been testing a light therapy treatment device on football players at BYU designed to help prevent or even help heal traumatic brain injuries. So far, the results are promising.
A lot of people think, oh, it's the concussions that get you, right? And we're actually finding in the research
It's not that. It's the micro traumas that these players get.
Director of BYU Sports Medicine Colby Clausen tells KSL TV the players using the device had better cognitive performance, and they also had less inflammation and tissue damage. Official results from the study are still pending, but players say they are believers after noticing a change in their performance. The sycamore trees that line 3 streets in Draper are safe for now.
The trees line Timoney, Wiley, and Ritchie streets. The city has been marking the trees as part of an evaluation to determine if the roots are pushing up the sidewalks, making them hazardous for tripping and falling. Draper spokesperson Linda Peterson says it's a liability issue.
At this time, the city is not planning on removing any of those trees. The evaluation is still in process as far as if or when that might need to happen.
Peterson assures that if it's determined that the trees need to be cut down, the residents will receive plenty of notice. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 12:39. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, if you're traveling on the freeways, the only freeway slowdown we've got, some stop and go as you go into the road work. So just south of the ponds in Kaysville, going down towards Park Lane, it clears before you even get to the Park Lane exit. Or if you're getting on the freeway from Highway 89 in Farmington and heading south, there won't be any slowdowns for you right now. Traffic on city streets in Salt Lake County, the busiest I've been seeing has been Mountain View over by 35th South. The rest of Mountain View's been pretty good. Maybe a little bit busy down by 134th in Harriman. And then in Utah County, 2100 North Lehigh coming over to the freeway, eastbound heavy, and we got some southbound slowing on State Street in Orem near University Parkway. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, I've got a little bit of monsoon moisture trying to drift into Utah. Today is completely dry, 96 mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 100 the high. Now into Thursday, we may see a little hint of monsoon. It'll be mostly cloudy by Thursday afternoon, 96, with a 20% chance to see a pop-up shower. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, it's 88 degrees in Ogden, 87 degrees in Provo, and it's sunny and 87 here in Salt Lake City. Coming up on midday, those in Utah County have a lot of school board members to vote on because of the recently approved school district split. We'll talk to the Utah County clerk about municipal primary election day. That's coming up, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 12:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
more than 700,000 people in Salt Lake County can expect to see more expensive water bills after the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District approved a rate hike. I'm KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Second, the Beulah fire in Summit County has now burned 3,300 acres, and there's still no containment. They'll have a community meeting tonight in Evanston. Third, traffic and weather together.
Haven't had much traffic trouble other than a stretch of I-15 from Kaysville to Farmington. Other spots that you might expect, SR 36 roadwork zones and Mountain View at 35th South, which always seems to be slow 24/7. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hot temperatures in store the next couple of days, then a slight chance for rain. I'm Matt Johnson.
Sorry, Matt. It's 87 degrees now at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Authorities in Pennsylvania continue to investigate yesterday's explosion at the Claritin Coke Works plant outside Pittsburgh. 2 people died in that blast, one identified as Timothy Quinn. The other victim's family did not release the name. Governor Josh Shapiro at a briefing says they're still monitoring air quality. Allegheny County health officials say tests so far show it's safe.
There have been no troubling tests of air or water that we have seen yet, but we all want to remain vigilant.
Hundreds of National Guard troops being deployed to Washington, D.C. a day after President Trump announced the federal government would take over local law enforcement to help fight crime. D.C.'s mayor says they're working to collaborate with the Trump administration. President Trump in a social media post once again criticizing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. He says over interest rates, the president signaled he may let a lawsuit move forward against Powell over the costs of renovations of 2 historic Fed buildings. And on Wall Street, stocks are up. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. It's municipal primary election day in Utah, and for many of those impacted by the Alpine School District split, there's a long list of candidates to vote on. Joining me now live is Utah County Clerk Aaron Davidson. Aaron, tell us about the race for those open school board seats.
Well, it's not as busy as I thought it would be. But right now, the most active seat in the school board is for Timpanogos School Board Seat 2. And Timpanogos seats 5 and 6. So it seems like there's more interest in the Timpanogos School District than in the Lake Mountain or Aspen Peaks.
You know, and it's a great reminder, too. We get a lot of focus on our presidential years and the years that we have state elections and governor's elections, but these odd number years with these municipal contests really do affect a lot of daily life.
They do, and we had a record number of races. We had 37 races this year, which is very atypical for a municipal year.
Any other exciting races in Utah County we should know about?
So there's a new city being created, Spring Lake, and they're at almost 40% participation rate right now, which is great. The lowest one we have is Saratoga Springs at 6.2, but it looks like we're averaging right around in the low teens right now.
Of course, this is the first election since the postmark rules changed in the state. So how does that change things for your office?
Do you have an hour? No. So we're supposed to verify based upon the last 4 digits of the Social Security number or driver license number. And if those don't match, then we're supposed to compare on the signature. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the data to match on the 4 digits, so we are first matching on signature, and if that doesn't match, then we look up each one individually for their 4 digits. And so we don't have as many ballots to cure this year as we have in past years.
And bottom line, if you didn't get your stuff in the mail at this point, you got to get it in person by tonight, right?
Yes, it's got to come in, vote in person, or drop it in a drop box. Don't take it to the post office today.
Anything?
It will not get counted.
Good point. Anything else voters should know?
Come and participate.
Yeah, all right.
I'd like to see, at least 20% participation rate in this election. We were hoping for about 30% with the school boards, but we'll take what we can get.
Important reminder, Davidson with us. KSL News Time, 12:49. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Once again, here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, traffic is still slow only on I-15 in Kaysville going south to Farmington. No northbound delays if you're heading from Salt Lake towards Ogden. If you're going into the canyons, I-80 all clear to Parley's Summit and towards Park City. A little bit heavy in Provo, though, looking right now southbound on University Avenue coming down towards University Parkway. And then again going south. It's actually busier, it looks like, on the southbound side of University Ave in Provo than on the northbound. No freeway delays, though, that I'm seeing right now in Utah County. Create a sanctuary in the yard with bedding plants from Olson's Greenhouse. Locally grown, quality flowers to adorn containers on the porch, beds, or patio. For tips and ideas, visit OGG.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has a hint of monsoon working in by late week. Mostly sunny today, completely dry, 96. Partly cloudy on your Wednesday, 100 degrees. Afternoon clouds likely on Thursday, 96, with a 20% chance for a pop-up shower. Scattered thunderstorms on Friday afternoon, 94. I got a 91 with afternoon clouds and maybe a pop-up on Saturday. Sunday, mostly sunny, 93, and 94 on Monday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, it's 98 degrees in St. George, 87 here in Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
It's the final countdown during Motorsportsland's summer clearance event. We've got to make room for next year's inventory, so now's your chance to save tens of thousands on in-stock models before they're gone. Chase sunsets, roast marshmallows, and make memories that stick long after the trip is over. Want adventure on a budget? You're in luck. We have travel trailers from just $6 a day and fifth wheels starting under $14 a day. Whether it's quick weekend getaways or long summer road trips, we've got the RV to fit your lifestyle. And remember, our prices include freight, prep, propane, and even personalized RV training at no extra charge. Other dealers, they'll stack on outrageous fees and pretend it's standard. But at Motorsportsland, we don't play that game. We've been family-owned and proudly local for over 55 years, doing business the honest way. So skip the gimmicks, shop where the pros shop, and let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-475-1818. That's 800-475-1818.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Price pressure Price pressures across a wide range of products have pushed up a key indicator of inflation. The CPI this morning shows inflation hitting 2.7% compared to last year. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
The consensus was for a 0.2% month-to-month rise in the Consumer Price Index and a 2.8% surge from July of last year. The actual number has come in very close to that, with the cost of housing driving most of the increase. The cost of eating at home actually fell slightly from June to July.
One item pushing up core inflation numbers is airfares, which surged 4% in July after several months of declines. Watching Utah's money, one of the largest owners of U.S. broadcast stations is looking for a merger. Sinclair has already talked with some possible businesses to merge with and thinks it will likely happen after a business review. Shares were up 13% after the announcement. Ford's investing $2 billion in a Louisville assembly plant. CNBC says the plant is supposed to be focused on rolling out more affordable EVs. On top of that, they recently invested $3 billion for a battery park in Michigan. A professional athlete-backed website is hoping to be the IMDb for pro athletes. CNBC reports AthleteAgent.com provides contact information for athletes and their agents to improve access and connect with other organizations easier. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has invested 7 figures in the site. Your money at this moment. All 3 major indices are riding high. The Dow is up 466 points. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are also both up about 1%. A Utah National Park's been named one of the best places to catch a sunset.
A study by Sixt looked at more than 200 popular places to watch the sunset, and Zion National Park has been ranked number 28. The study reportedly looked at different factors like popularity, social media buzz, and environmental quality. Zion reportedly has 0% cloud coverage, so the view is very clear of the sun setting. The study also found that Zion National Park gets 450,000 Google searches a month, with more than 763 Instagram hashtags dedicated to its sunsets. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 12:56.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
KSL News Time 12:59. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in one more time with Andy Farnsworth.
Well, we're still crash-free right now, so the only delay we've got is going to affect you on southbound 15 in the roadwork zone where the right lane goes away, heading between Kaysville and Farmington near that Shepherd Lane overpass reconstruction. Otherwise, freeways are looking fantastic here in the midday. If you're looking for some of the busier areas along State Street, 33rd South, a little bit busy. I'm seeing some slowing on 33rd South over by Highland Drive. Again, this is typical midday stuff, nothing really out of the ordinary right now. Step back in time at the Utah Renaissance Fair, August 22nd and 23rd. Enjoy exotic foods, performers, and artisan treasures. Get your tickets now at utahrenfair.org. Let the adventure begin. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny with a high of 96 today. We've got the best of the midday show coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
1 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake City fire officials say 5 businesses were burned in a fire that scorched beloved bars and restaurants on Main Street last night.
Last evening, we were dispatched to a cooking fire in the kitchen at the London Bell, which was open and operating at approximately 8:40 p.m. It was a first alarm commercial assignment, which requires 4 engines and 2 fire trucks.
Fire Chief Carl Lieb says everyone got out safely, but 3 firefighters experienced minor injuries. Officials estimate the fire caused $5 million in losses. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall says the owners want to get back to business as soon as possible, and the city is committed to helping them do that. Attorneys for Utah death row inmate Ralph Menzies are now asking the court for an expedited ruling on his competency. He was convicted of killing Maureen Hunsaker back in 1986. His legal team has petitioned the court several times to re-examine whether he's mentally competent enough to be executed, most recently on July 23rd. They're asking for the judge's decision immediately in the hopes of stopping his execution, which is set for September 5th. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's plan to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. is officially underway. ABC's Perry Russum has the story.
800 National Guard troops are being deployed. We're being told by the Army that 100 to 200 troops are going to be working at any given time, essentially being just support teams for law enforcement. They're not going to be doing anything exactly law enforcement on the ground, but more of just a presence. And the Army tells us that there are 3 main tasks that they are going to be doing. One is administrative, other one's logistics, and then that physical presence as well.
Trump administration officials say they're there to help D.C. police deal with crime. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 438 points, the S&P up 65, and the NASDAQ is up 268. Coming up, it's hot today and only getting hotter. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 102.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Earl Johansson.
Well, it's a smooth drive on northbound, southbound I-15 between Ogden and Provo. Our really only slow spot is in Kaysville on southbound I-15, starting around the Ponds area and all the way until you get to about Farmington, the Park Lane exit. Really, once you get past there, though, all the slowdowns are gone, and things are looking good on I-80 east and westbound between Twilla and Park City. Mortgage rates are going down. Take advantage. Visit loansbyrick.com at Vintage Lending. Loansbyrick.com. NMLS 241179, Equal Opportunity Lender. Earl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 96 today before we hit the triple digits tomorrow, 100 on Wednesday, 96 Thursday, and a chance of showers as we head into Friday. Right now it's sunny and 87 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You're listening to a previously recorded program on KSL News Radio.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. President Trump says he's going to make Washington, D.C. safe again by deploying the National Guard to reestablish law and by placing the D.C. police under federal control.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
At a press conference this morning, he says cash bail is a problem.
Every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. Somebody murders somebody, and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out.
The president calling out other large cities across the country for what he says are rapidly increasing crime rates. In Chicago, he says car thefts have doubled over the past 5 years, carjackings have tripled, and murders in 2023 reached the highest rate in 25 years.
We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone.
This weekend, teams of FBI and other federal agents were reassigned to patrol the nation's capital. Right now, in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser is reacting to the president's comments and actions this morning.
And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud. We will balance our budgets. We will deploy our services. Our kids are going to start school on August 25th. And we will work with the federal government to do the things that they should do for our city, including making sure that we have the judges that we need, including making sure that all federal parks are supported, not just with law enforcement, but with other clean and safe activities, and including making sure that our economy is supported by rational federal actions as it relates to the federal workforce, federal workers, and federal property in the District of Columbia. So with that, I want to ask Chief Smith to talk about her interactions with the federal forces, federal police and law enforcement that have been engaged in the district over the last several days, and the strategy that she thinks would be important while we have additional federal police officers.
And that is Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser talking about the president's actions to take federal control of the D.C. police force. Here in Utah, the executive director for the Crossroads Urban Center in Salt Lake City is reacting to President Trump's actions. Glenn Bailey spoke with KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff. Don joins me now live in the studio. So, Don, what is Bailey saying about the president's plans?
Well, first of all, he's skeptical. One of the things that President Trump kind of emphasized this morning is that he wants to sweep the homeless population out of D.C. Bailey says there's about 6,000 homeless people in the D.C. area, and his big question is, where will these people go? You can't just say, oh, we're going to get rid of them, and what are you going to do with them? And so he says you can't just move them out. So are you going to create shelters? And okay, if you put them in a shelter, what happens next? What happens after the shelter? You can't just say, well, okay, we're in the shelter and now you're going to go and have houses. There's got to be somewhere for these people to go. You can put them in a short-term, he actually called it a concentration camp, a short-term shelter, and then there's got to be somewhere that they can get to after that.
Does Bailey think that something like this, what the president's doing there, that this could happen here?
It's kind of a yes or no answer.
Well, I think there's some evidence that we're headed in a similar direction. I don't know about sweeping people off the streets as aggressively as what the president has proposed, but there has been talk about relocating people to a super shelter of some sort, where hopefully they would get services, and I guess that would be my main concern. I'd have two, really. One, people have rights. People have civil liberties, whether they're homeless or not. You can't just take away people's rights because they have no place to live. Secondly, if you are going to provide that sort of a shelter opportunity, make sure the services are for real and that they lead to permanent housing, not services that we talk about but never actually fund and provide.
Maria, what Bailey is saying is that the role of government is to look beyond people's appearances and into the kinds of lives that they're leading and what they can help with, what the government can actually help with, and what these people really need. He says that the only way we're going to actually solve this problem is to spend some money on it. He says, unfortunately, that's been very unpopular. He says, for a long time, we've kind of done this halfway thing where, oh, we're gonna look like we're doing something. He said, but the problem with homelessness in the United States really has to be addressed on a funding issue, and it's a long-term funding issue. You're going to have to actually spend some money to take care of this problem. It's not just going to go away.
No. Thanks, Don, for joining me. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff in the studio, tracking local reaction to President Trump's moving the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to clean up crime and homelessness.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value completely free. StubbsDental.com.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. President Trump announced today he has put Washington, D.C.'s police department under federal control and deployed the National Guard to essentially stop violent crime in the capital. Has this kind of thing happened before, and what are some of the legal or political ramifications of this move? Midday's executive producer Andy Cupp spoke to a lawyer and political insider, Aaron Ryder, who also used to co-host Inside Sources and is a former D.C. resident, to get her perspective.
Yeah, it's certainly a big move for the president to make. I mean, there have been conversations for a long time about the president, or at least the federal government, maybe stepping in and, DC statehood rights and all sorts of things. Lots of conversation there, and some of that is just because of how DC is set up and how they interact with the federal government. But it's still a fairly unprecedented move for the president to just say, that's it, we're taking over, and to take his cabinet and basically put them in place of all of these different departments within DC proper. So it's a big deal.
And it's kind of interesting because it does come, on the day when there's supposed to be hearings on whether or not he could send in the National Guard into a state like California. And there's that whole argument there on, is it under the governor or is it under the president? But that's not even like a thing in DC, right? Like the mayor of DC, do they call out the National Guard, or is this really in DC it is under the purview of the president, no questions asked?
Yeah, so so when you're talking about a state like California, you're getting into a federalism argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is about states' rights versus the federal government. And in that case, it's a question of, can the federal government come in and tell the National Guard what to do in the state of California, where the state of California has rights because it is a state. DC does not have those same kind of rights. DC is not a state. And so because of that, DC has to get their funding from Congress. Every year, Congress has to appropriate a certain amount for DC's budget. And so there's this weird kind of connection between DC and the federal government. Now, that being said, DC has its own, does have a level of government. It has a mayor, it has a council, right? Like, there is a layer of government there that in some ways function kind of like a state government to run the day-to-day operations of DC, even though they ultimately have to get a lot of their authority and funding from Congress. So, I think this is a little bit of a murky area in DC. Does the president have the ability to go and kind of take over DC? To me, it still feels like a little bit of that federalism argument, because you have the mayor and the council there who are, theoretically supposed to be doing stuff like this. So it brings up an interesting question. If the president's unhappy with the direction that the mayor is going, can he just say, okay, I don't care about your responsibilities in this area, I'm just going to take it over and do it myself? I think that's problematic, and I think there's some issues. Certainly it sets a precedent that I don't know we want to go down, but there's also no question that DC has not delivered on this issue. I mean, crime in DC is rough, and when I lived in DC, it was an issue. When I went back after COVID, it was an even worse issue. Like, DC has just sort of notoriously not been good at handling this. And now you have the president saying, enough, like, we can't do this anymore. You have not delivered. So fine, we have no choice but to do it for you. So you have kind of multiple sides playing into this. Is there a clear-cut path here? I don't know. But it's certainly kind of a gray, murky area.
Do you know off the top of your head if this kind of thing has ever happened before in DC, or has it really been kind of a hands-off approach from the federal government when it comes to their own policing and law enforcement?
That's a great question. Certainly in the history of DC, I don't know that I could give you a good answer on that. In my experience and my time in DC, I never saw anything like this. Again, there are certainly some overlaps. We saw some of that with January 6th, right? And how you had DC, like, Capitol Police, and there was a lot of overlap between, like, the DC Metro and what was happening on the Capitol. But generally speaking, they function as relatively separate entities, and DC does not really get in the, or I'm sorry, Congress does not really get in the business of running the DC police force.
Erin says in the end, she'll be really interested to see what precedent this move leaves behind.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
18 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
I used to get overwhelmed at the grocery store. One minute I'm reading a label that says healthy. Next thing I know, it's packed with sugar and stuff I can't pronounce. That's when Soda stepped in. When I started the program, I didn't just get a food plan, I got a lifeline. I lost 82 pounds in 16 weeks. But more than that, I learned how to eat smart, shop smart, stay on track even when life gets messy. I could text my Soda nutritionist from aisle 5 and get instant help. That's support you don't get from a label. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being prepared. And with Soda, I finally felt in control of my health and my habit. Go to sodaweightloss.com. sodaweightloss.com. SOTA. It stands for State of the Art. Click the Request Your Nutritionist callback. Get to it. You can do it. You know how I know you can do it? Because I did it. sodaweightloss.com. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Utah deserves better. If you just got a quote on a new furnace or air conditioner and felt like they were pushing you into something big and expensive, you're not the only one. A lot of home service companies here in Utah aren't really local anymore. They've been bought out by private equity groups focused on profits, not people. Here at Your Service Pros, we're different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not sales quotas. We offer free second opinions on repairs or replacement because most people just want to know the truth. If your system can be repaired, we'll gladly fix it. But if it needs to be replaced, we'll show you your options, including a hybrid system with up to $6,650 in total rebates. We'll make sure you're getting the best price possible, not some inflated quote so our investors can get richer. At Your Service Pros has served Utah homeowners for over 20 years, and we're proud to have a 4.9-star rating from families just like yours. So call At Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO. If you need a free second opinion on your heating, air, plumbing, or electrical, call 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. A high-stakes meeting this week between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. This morning, the president told reporters that the meeting this week will be held in Alaska and will be a feel-out kind of meeting.
I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did.
On this episode of the Start Here podcast, host Brad Milkey previews the meeting with ABC's Selena Wang.
Over the last couple of months, you've seen this back and forth in the way President Trump has talked about the war in Ukraine. Like earlier this year, Trump was really portraying Ukraine as the unreasonable one, the country who, despite being invaded, wasn't willing to face reality in order to secure a lasting peace. Well, then, as Russian bombs kept falling, President Trump seemed to echo what observers have been saying for years, that maybe calls and assurances from Russian President Vladimir Putin meant nothing.
We thought we had that settled numerous times. And then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev.
So over the last couple weeks, it seemed like Putin had finally lost all that goodwill from Trump that he had spent years cultivating. Well, then late last week, the White House announced it was now planning a meeting between the two men. Not only will Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin be meeting face to face, but it appears they will be meeting on American soil later this week. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at the West Wing right now. Selena, a ton happening over the last few days. What is the plan at this moment for this big summit?
There are still a lot of questions, but we do have a date and we have a location. It's going to be in Alaska on U.S. soil, as you say, the first time Putin is going to be stepping foot on U.S. soil in about 10 years. And in terms of the timing, just days from now on Friday. Now, in terms of who is going to be there, it is going to be Trump and Putin for sure. What's unclear, though, is what role Ukraine's President Zelensky will play. He is remaining on the sidelines right now, but the White House says that President Trump is open to Zelensky joining. But as we are talking right now, he is not joining, and that's got European leaders very concerned that some sort of peace deal is going to be negotiated and hashed out without Europeans or Zelensky at the table. So it's really been a diplomatic scramble over these last few days. The Europeans want to make sure that their voices are heard. Vice President J.D. Vance had this hastily scheduled meeting with some European and Ukrainian officials. They want to make sure that they have a say in how all of this goes down.
What is the significance of this summit, and especially on American soil? That seems like a huge thing. Selena Wang again.
Well, first of all, the timing of all of this is striking. Trump announced this meeting with Putin on the exact same deadline day that he had given to President Putin to either end the war or face tough new sanctions. The war, of course, has not ended. The fighting has only escalated. But instead of getting any penalties, President Trump has agreed to this meeting in Alaska, which is actually going to be Putin's first time meeting with any major Western leader since Russia invaded Ukraine more than 3 years ago. So there's a few sides to this. On one hand, the NATO Secretary General, for instance, said that he believes that this is a step that is necessary towards reaching peace.
Friday will be important because it will be about testing Putin, how serious he is on bringing this terrible war to an end.
But on the other hand, there are concerns that this just hands Putin a win.
Oh, just by like the act of being on American soil, the act of meeting with the American president, and I guess the act of not having Zelensky in the room, that's sort of what makes this all a win for Putin.
Yeah, and John Bolton, who's the former national security advisor under the first Trump administration, said that he believes it is a mistake to hold this on American soil, legitimizing what he calls a, quote, pariah leader.
He's allowed Putin to get first mover advantage by putting his peace plan on the table first.
And he says is a chance for him to, quote, work his magic with Trump, applying that KGB training.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally, he pushed Trump further than Trump wanted to be pushed.
I also spoke to Senator Blumenthal, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, who is also highly critical of this.
Trump is falling for Putin's ploy, delaying and stringing him along and mocking America.
He had co-authored that tough sanctions bill in Congress along with Senator Lindsey Graham. And just weeks ago, he and Graham had both told me that they believe President Trump was on the cusp of signing off on this tough sanctions bill. But now, of course, there's this summit that is what everybody is focused on. And Blumenthal told me that Putin is playing Trump with this ploy of a summit, which he tells me he believes benefits Putin while undercutting U.S. credibility.
What might these negotiations look like, especially if Ukraine isn't involved?
Land, of course, is a key topic of discussion. The president actually suggested on the same day he announced this summit, he suggested that there would be, quote, land swapping, an exchange of land in order to reach a peace deal.
It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both.
Zelensky flat out rejects ceding any land. There are also concerns that there needs to be strong security guarantees in this peace deal as well. And Zelensky, he is saying that there hasn't been any real steps from Russia towards peace. That's why there needs to be pressure. That's why there needs to be sanctions. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Putin told Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff he would end the war in exchange for eastern Ukraine. The Wall Street Journal also reported that Europe and Ukraine presented its own peace plan to top U.S. officials, saying that no land concessions without ironclad security guarantees, including potential NATO membership for Ukraine. So huge questions here about if Putin is going to move at all. There are concerns from critics that Putin is not going to give any concessions in this meeting and that he's going to continue the same positions he's always had.
Yeah, it's kind of classic, like, negotiation psychology. If somebody gets in the room, you might leave it going like, actually, Eastern Ukraine doesn't seem like that big of an ask, or like, not letting Ukraine into NATO ever doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Let's go for it. That does seem like why some of these Europeans are very concerned that they won't be near this either. Selena Wang at the White House, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that summit is scheduled for this Friday. We're getting closer and closer to the official start of the college football season, and KSL will be there every step of the way with BYU football and basketball, too. Beginning next Monday, August 18th, KSL will launch a new nightly update show on the Cougars. BYU insider Mitch Harper will have the latest analysis of the Cougars quarterback battle, Big 12 matchups, and the opening game on August 30th. Can't listen at night? Well, you can also catch Mitch's video podcast of Cougar Tracks every day on the KSL Sports YouTube page. It's a show that you don't want to miss.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. More than 700,000 Salt Lake County residents are going to see an increase on their water bills. The Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District approved an 11% rate hike. It will only increase bills by about $38 a year, but if you want to avoid that, community engagement partner Kelly Good says there are ways to save.
The majority of our water is put on our lawns, and so if you're looking for ways to save water and to save money, then reducing your outdoor watering use is a good start.
Good says without the cost increases, customers could get the short end of the stick, dealing with less reliable service, lower water quality, and delayed repairs. Salt Lake City police say a person is in critical condition after someone shot them and took their truck. This happened around 2:30 this morning near West California Avenue. Police say 3 people were in a pickup truck when a fight broke out, and one of the passengers shot the driver and then took the truck. It was found abandoned shortly after. Police have not yet arrested the suspect. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Texas House was called to order this morning with redistricting still on the agenda.
As a few members milled around on the Texas House floor, Speaker Dustin Burrows picked up the gavel.
There being 95 members present, a quorum is not present.
With more than 4 Democrats still out of the state to prevent a vote on a Republican-drawn congressional district map that favors GOP candidates, no action could be taken. Burrows will try again Friday. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 454 points. The S&P is up 68 points. And coming up, mostly sunny skies. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 1:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year, my kids had massive supply lists.
Folders, notebooks, and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No. My back to school budget was saved by Staples Easy Button.
Everything for school, in stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. NC 23 while supplies last.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Joe Hansen.
Well, we've got a crash blocking the right shoulder of northbound I-15 in Sandy. This is just after the 114th on-ramp, so it's blocking that right shoulder. Doesn't seem to be having much of an impact on traffic. And we are starting to see a little bit more heavier traffic southbound I-15 in that same area between about 90 south and 106, but it doesn't seem to be adding too much time to your drive time today. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 96 today with sunny skies. Tomorrow, we could see a high of 100 before we're back in the upper 90s on Thursday. Right now, it is 91 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL in the classroom. Nearly 1 in 4 Utah students misses school often enough to seriously jeopardize their academic progress. That's according to reporting from our partners at the Deseret News. State Superintendent Dr. Molly Hart, tells Inside Sources that chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% of the school year. For most, that means roughly 18 days. Dr. Hart says before the pandemic, the rates weren't as high, and over the last 5 years, the numbers haven't bounced back. What was it about the pandemic that changed the trajectory of school attendance?
That is the million-dollar question, and there's a lot packed in there. There's the fact that we put so much education, so much of the learning online, and students and parents may feel that they can just go online and get, quote, caught up, or families' priorities have shifted a little. They seem to be taking vacations more during the school year, and I believe probably with that same idea that we get back and we'll just catch up online, and the assignments are posted, or I'll get the assignments. Teachers also, in trying to be as flexible as possible and meet the students' needs, then get into the cycle where the student comes back and you need to help them get caught back up. And then next time, student or parent thinks, they got caught up last time. They can get caught up this time. Or there's also concerns about students and their social development, and students are developing those relationships through other activities, extracurricular activities. So maybe they're not feeling like school attendance is the only place to get those needs met. The problem is that there's a lot to school that's not just the assignments in class. Building habits for success, learning to work together in groups, learning about how to handle social situations, There's a lot of ancillary learning that happens in schools that students are just not getting.
As rates of absenteeism rise and continue to remain high, what is the state doing to try and get kids back into the classroom this year?
We have recently launched what we have termed Everyday Counts campaign, and it's to raise awareness and remove some barriers and just get students attending school regularly. It includes a challenge to schools and districts, and some common language and some clear messaging, just putting some tools together for our schools to really get the message out that there's more to an education than assignments, and it's really important and valuable for students to have that experience present at school.
Dr. Hart says, contrary to some parents' beliefs, it's not as easy for kids to get caught up with their work if they miss several days. And it's even harder on the teacher who's having to juggle teaching new topics while also trying to help other students not get left behind.
For instance, you take mathematics and you're gone for a week, and then you come back and you're trying to do work that's very dependent on the work that you learned last week. And so then you have a classroom where the differences in the students' learning are more exacerbated. The gaps are more pronounced. So you've got a teacher then managing students at different levels. It's just not that easy, and it's not, so much of people ask parents aren't interested in straightforward, standardized, multiple choice, true false questions. They want our students to be able to, and their children to be able to do things, make presentations and participate in debates and work together with their peers on creating things, building robots, building, simulations in social studies. You can't do that when students aren't present. So there's so much more to learning besides doing an assignment and turning it in for a grade. And that I think is important to explain. Of course, going on trips to see different parts of the world and spend time with family, it's important, absolutely. But at the same time, we have a job to do to get students ready for whatever their next step is, whether they're a third grader getting ready for fourth grade or they're a senior getting ready for whatever comes after graduation. We have a job to do, and we really need the students present in order to do it.
You can learn more about the new Everyday Counts program by visiting schools.utah.gov. KSL in the Classroom Hour special coverage continues on Midday. Kids already back in school down in southern Utah's Washington County. The school district there is saying this will be the first year of the new statewide Guardian program. KSL 5 TV's Brian Carlson took a look at the program and how it's being implemented in and around St. George.
In some ways, they've been the model for the rest of the state. The school district, the local sheriff's office, and different police agencies there in Washington County have all been working together to make it happen. So here's where we're at. Last year, the Utah legislature passed a law requiring at least one guardian in every Utah school each day kids are in class. Each guardian is anonymous, must be trained, be a volunteer, and not a teacher or principal. They do get paid, but only for a one-time stipend of $500. In Washington County, that means 130 armed guardians in schools there in St. George and the surrounding areas. They even had 60 teachers go through that 40-hour training, which includes law and medical training, drills for mock scenarios, and shooting qualifications there on the gun range. Those leading the program here feel confident about the added protection they can provide.
To know that there are other people out there that are there to help us as law enforcement and know that they are that first immediate defense for a school until we can get there really makes us sleep better at night.
Now, it's gone so well here, the local sheriff's office says multiple counties have called Washington County and asked how they've had so much success. They attribute that to the support they're getting from the district and everyone else involved. Now, the school district says they will have armed guardians, enough of them to cover each of the 56 buildings there in the district as kids come back to class today. They even have enough to have an extra volunteer who can float from school to school as needed.
KSL5 TV's Brian Carlson there, and like he said, the Washington School District is the first district to be fully staffed for the Guardian program.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure sells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. The owners of the state's only kosher food truck say they feel repeated thefts have been both personal and targeted. Rabbi Avremi Zippel tells KSL5 TV they run a 200-foot copper wire to their food truck from their Sugar House synagogue. That wire has now been stolen twice, even with several security measures put in place that makes it hard to get to the wire.
We panicked and did whatever we could to get a new one as soon as possible. It got back online so as not to interrupt service with our customers, and went to great lengths to secure it down, nail it down to the concrete in multiple locations across the property. And the thought that we had at the time was, maybe we were a little lackadaisical in securing it. This was a crime of opportunity. Two people come upon it. There's some value on the resale market. They make off with it. We'll make sure this doesn't happen again. Yesterday is our Sabbath, so we're kind of offline, and dozens of folks show up for services yesterday, and they kind of find two things at once, which I think at first blush, it was unclear if they were connected. First of all, the lock is gone, and there's quite visible damage done to the various power outlets and the locks that were on it. This was something which required some attention. There is also a pile of human excrement right at the front of the building. It's kind of unclear, what on earth is going on over here. Once Shabbat concludes late last night, we go back and look at the security footage. And around 4 a.m. Saturday morning, a gentleman arrives at the property, someone working alone, brings a toolkit with him. So this was definitely a situation where this was certainly premeditated. This was not someone was walking home at night, was like, hey, copper wire, I could use some of that. Brought a toolkit, worked for about a solid hour unscrewing the mechanisms that we had put in place across the property. At about 5:15, walks through the area to the front door of our building where people would be entering services hours later, nowhere near the wire, relieves himself right outside the building and gets back on with the process, leaves the property at around 6 a.m. I think on our end, what we're feeling is that this certainly doesn't feel like, you left something on your front lawn overnight and someone made off with it. You left your car door unlocked. Someone happened to be going up the block, checking open car doors and, stole something from your car. This certainly is starting to feel like an intentional and personal pattern of behavior that if this is just a crime issue, it's our sincere hope that SLCPD will be able to crack down on this. And if this is indeed specifically targeting the only kosher establishment in the state of Utah, targeting a synagogue with that sort of behavior, leaving a pile of human excrement outside the front door, then it's our hope and our fervent wish that this idea get dealt with in that matter as well.
Rabbi Zippel says they have video of both incidents and they've reported the thefts to police.
For a lot of people in the neighborhood, there's the reassurance that we're not becoming the sort of town where this sorts of activity becomes commonplace, where you've got to lock down anything and everything that moves with the greatest degree of vigilance possible, because crime of that level, of that magnitude, suddenly becomes something which we're accustomed to in Sugar House. The synagogue has been fortunate enough to call Salt Lake City and specifically Sugar House home for the entirety of its time in Salt Lake City. This has been a place where I've been raised and now raise my own kids. I love the neighborhood, and I certainly hope this is not an indicator of where the neighborhood at large is headed.
And he says they will not stop serving food to the community.
We have felt so loved and so welcomed in our neighborhood. We're proud to be a regularly recognized and honored truck across Salt Lake City. And we want to be able to reciprocate that to our customers. We want to be able to respond to them with the love and the admiration that they have for us. And so we're going to keep on keeping on. We're definitely not going to be intimidated by what seems to be evolving as a pattern of behavior. And we hope that law enforcement can do their bit to make sure that this sort of stuff is curtailed, and we'll keep on doing ours.
Rabbi Zippel says a GoFundMe has now been set up in hopes of paying for a more permanent power supply.
Have you seen those billboards that have a giant turtle on them that say win a new air conditioner? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you're probably wondering, what's that all about? Well, the turtle is a character in our new TV commercials that'll be airing this summer. I know it's kind of silly, but we're always trying to figure out how to grab attention and stand out in a crowded market. We thought a big turtle would do the trick. Another thing we're doing is every week this summer, Any Hour is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer. We're calling it the Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. This summer, if you get an estimate to replace your air conditioner or purchase a new air conditioner from Any Hour Services, you'll automatically be entered into our weekly drawing. If your name is drawn, Any Hour will pay for your air conditioner, up to $8,750. We just want to meet more homeowners that are in the market for a new air conditioner and have the chance to earn their business. We're confident that once you have an Any Hour technician in your home, you'll see why we have over 28,000 Google reviews. No purchase is necessary. See official rules at anyhour.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's probably space debris. Vacationers and residents near Bear Lake got quite the show last night as something huge fell out of the sky. Matt Rice owns a lake house in the area, and he took a video while he watched with his family.
Guys, what is this? Something is crashing right now into Earth from outer space. Wow. I wonder if it was a satellite. I don't know. I'm not too sure what that is.
All I know is it's huge.
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
It just broke up.
That's pretty big.
Dang.
Wow.
No word on what Matt saw, but it was bright orange and left quite a thick trail in the sky. While we're not sure what that was, there is something that'll be popping up in the sky this week that we do know more about. It's almost time for the annual Perseid meteor shower. Joining me now to talk about it is Jason Trump. He's the education supervisor at the Clark Planetarium. Jason, thanks for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, tell us about the Perseid and what we can expect to see.
Great. So this is the most popular meteor shower of the year because you can see sometimes up to 100 meteors per hour. So meteors is the science word. Scientists use that word. We call them shooting stars. And this is a shower of meteors. It's a meteor shower. So this is going to peak tomorrow night. You can go outside and look under the stars and see these shooting stars, these meteors, a lot of them all at once. It's really exciting.
So explain why this is so predictable and we know when it's going to come around every August.
Yeah, great. So what this is a result of is actually a comet called the Swift-Tuttle Comet. And it came around past the Earth last time in 1992, and it left behind a trail of debris. And so every year when the Earth is traveling around the sun and it runs into that debris, there's little bits of rock and ice that enter the Earth's atmosphere. And that is why it is predictable, because it happens every year.
So for those of us who want to catch a glimpse of these, what's our best way to see them? What time and where should we go? That kind of thing.
Well, you want to go somewhere dark, and especially that's true this year because the moon is actually going to be bright tomorrow night and here for the next little while. And so if you can go out, right after sunset before the moon rises, that's one thing. If you want to go out a little bit later in the night or into the morning hours where the meteors are a little bit more prevalent, you're going to want to go somewhere dark. So go to the West Desert, go up to the mountains up in the canyon, go to some of the dark sky sites that we have here in Utah and enjoy it from there.
I noticed a few people out on the top of Mount Olympus before light this morning. Is that maybe one of the reasons they would go up at that time of day?
Maybe.
I was like, what are those people doing up there?
Yeah, there's a lot of places nearby. Like if you're in the Salt Lake area, there's Antelope Island. There's North Fork Park up in the Ogden area. So you don't have to travel that far to go to darker skies, but the darker, the better for this event.
And I don't have to climb all the way to the top of Mount Olympus either, right?
That's right.
Explain why people get so excited about Perseids.
Well, the Perseids is a meteor shower that we get at a time of the year when you can go outside. It's not too cold, right? It's not too hot. It's not in the middle of summer either. And there is, again, a lot of meteors that you can see. There's the Perseids is well known for what we call a fireball, which is a really big meteor. You can sometimes get them bright enough that you can see some color associated with it, which is pretty cool. And so people get excited about this one in particular because there's other meteor showers all throughout the year, but this one has a lot of debris that is coming down through the atmosphere, and so you can see, as I stated before, about 100 meteors an hour is some of the best conditions, which is really fantastic.
Okay, now I've seen one or two, but I've never seen like up to 100 of them.
Yeah, and that would be over the course of an hour. Yeah, but it gets fantastic to be able to see them, especially when you catch a glimpse of those fireballs, those really bright ones. It just really puts things in perspective, and it reminds us that we are on this planet Earth that's traveling through space, and it's really a great learning opportunity and a great thing to experience for those that are looking to go out and see it.
Okay, you mentioned tomorrow night is the peak, but how long? I mean, do we have most of the week to see these?
It would be best, tomorrow night or even tonight or maybe a little bit later in the week. But this meteor shower is actually known for dropping off quite substantially after the peak. And so while you mentioned, the best conditions, you get 100 meteors an hour, well, that's going to drop, 50% the next day, that kind of thing. And it's going to keep going down from there. So anytime that you actually go outside, you can see meteors as well. So people should go out even if there's not a shower going on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Jason. Jason Trump is the education supervisor at the Clark Planetarium in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. Our top story this hour. Today is Municipal Primary Election Day. That means if you still want your vote to count, you need to use a drop box or vote in person.
Now, it doesn't matter when your ballot was postmarked. It has to be in your clerk, your election official's hand by close of polls on Election Day.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson tells Inside Sources the turnout on municipal elections is typically low, but she says the people you're voting for have a direct impact on your life and your community. KSL's top national story this hour. President Trump's plan to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. is officially underway. ABC's Perry Russum has the story.
800 National Guard troops are being deployed. We're being told by the Army that 100 to 200 troops are going to be working at any given time, essentially being just support teams for law enforcement. They're not going to be doing anything exactly law enforcement on the ground, but more of just a presence. And the Army tells us that there are three main tasks that they are going to be doing. One is administrative, other one's logistics, and then that physical presence as well.
Trump administration officials say they're there to help D.C. police deal with crime. Your money at the moment, the markets seem to really like the inflation news. It was up, not as much as they feared it would be, but also low enough that they can still plan on potentially some interest rate cuts in September. The Dow is up 483 points this hour, S&P 500 up 72, NASDAQ up 297. Coming up, summer's last gasp on the way. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 2:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You've lived through the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror.
Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Verl Johansson.
Well, we've got a crash blocking the right shoulder of northbound I-15 in Sandy, in between 114th South and 106th South. Doesn't seem to be having any major impacts on traffic. We do have a couple pockets of slowdowns settling in. First one in Lehigh as you're approaching the 2100 North exit on that northbound side of I-15, and then on southbound I-15 in Kaysville, right around the Ponds Park area as you're getting close to the Park Lane exit. Where mountaintops meet motivation, Snow Pine Lodge in Alta offers a stunning, distraction-free setting for your next leadership retreat or client hospitality. Mention KSL and get 20% off Snow Pine catered food. Visit snowpine.com. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll top out at 96 today before hitting our low of 70 overnight. Tomorrow's going to be a hot one, though. 100 degrees for the high. Right now, it is sunny, 91 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The Beulah fire continues to burn this afternoon in the high Uintas of eastern Summit County. As of today, it has burned roughly 3,000 acres and it's 0% contained. Evacuations are still in place for some areas near the fire, including the East Fork of the Bear River. Among those who had to leave was a family who had been hiking and fishing in the backcountry and had to hike their way out to safety. KSL 5 TV's Sarah Martin spoke with the Weaver family, starting with their daughter, Anna.
We were hiking up to Dead Horse Lake. Well, my dad has gone multiple times, so he knew where we were and he knew the area pretty well. But we were going up to Dead Horse Lake, and we stayed the night for one night before we saw all the smoke. The next morning, we were just out fishing, and we saw clouds of smoke like slowly getting bigger and bigger, and so that's when we noticed the helicopters and the planes and decided to evacuate.
Caleb Weaver says he woke up and he saw something odd in the sky.
We woke up and then we were just fishing. We look out and we're like, oh, that's a weird shaped cloud, kind of just at the very beginning, and then slowly became more and more obvious that it wasn't a cloud and started more orange and black at some parts, and so yeah, it just got more and more urgent and definitely scary.
Anna says they weren't really lost, but they did end up hiking a lot more than they originally expected.
We had a compass, and then we met some people that had a map, and my dad had been on parts of the trail before, and so we kind of just mapped our way out and found the closest trailhead possible, which ended up being 37 miles plus round trip for us, so it was a lot.
Their dad, Nate, says even with the helicopter circling overhead, he was determined to keep going.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary. So I knew we had a way out and that we weren't in imminent danger. So with the helicopters overhead, if there were other people that were, in a worse situation than we were, then by all means, they should have taken that option. But we were going to find our own way out and do it the right way. So that's what we did.
Anna says the family had access to satellite messaging through a recent iPhone update, so they periodically texted their mom with location details, and she would advise them which direction to go from there. Nate says they also found good support from fellow backpackers.
The hikers we met up with, most of them were doing the Highline Trail, and so they weren't dropping down into the basin where the fire was. They were kind of bypassing it altogether. But it was good to have just people that we could ask questions to, especially on the parts of the trail that I wasn't familiar with. And it's always good just to run into folks, and see how they're doing and talk about trail life and all that good stuff.
The family's truck was on the other side of the fire line from them, which is part of what necessitated that long walk. But in addition to being able to celebrate their own safety, it turns out the truck is okay, too.
I figure my truck was probably 2 miles from the fire because we were way back on the dirt roads, only 4-wheel drive access. They wouldn't let me in yesterday, and I think that was more just there's a lot of different groups, police, sheriff, fire departments on scene, and they weren't all completely coordinated, which is fairly normal. But I got a call as soon as we arrived in Logan. The police were actually at our house saying, you need to come get your truck, even though they wouldn't let me in yesterday when I tried. So I got back this morning. My brother called me in there, and we were escorted by a conservation officer, and the truck is unburnt, so I'm good.
Anna says they all have a story to tell, but it was pretty hard to think of that at the time.
I mean, there were parts where it was just really defeating to get over a valley, and then you see 5 more valleys before we get to the pass that we were aiming for. And so we looked at this tiny patch of snow off in the distance, and we're like, hey, we are getting there by the end of the day. And 15 miles later, we got there, but it was a rough day.
And she says the reward at the end of the trek was worth it.
My mom came. She drove down from Logan and picked us up. That definitely wasn't part of the plan. So grateful that she was able to do that. And she actually hiked in a mile and met us, and so did the last mile out with us. And that was a surprise. We didn't know that she was going to be on the trail. So we saw her, and it was like a life. We were like, oh my gosh.
Nate also says it's a good reminder if you are headed into the backcountry, always have a plan B.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. It wasn't long after shots rang out near Emory University in Atlanta last Friday that officials realized that the headquarters for the CDC may be the target. ABC's Faith Abube reports from Georgia with Start Here host Brad Milkey.
It was a chaotic and frightening scene. Just imagine Friday afternoon, people were packing up to leave the office and get their weekend started. And then all of a sudden, this is just before 5 p.m., people start hearing gunshots. This was happening on the Emory University campus. And as soon as officials learned about that, the active shooter alert went out to the university community, urging students and everyone on campus to basically run, hide, fight, to do whatever they can to survive. People are running, trying to take cover. Businesses are closing their doors.
Go back up. Just go drive that way.
Police responded almost immediately. Multiple jurisdictions, just hundreds of officers, dozens of police cars just descending onto the Emory University campus. Well, turns out the activity was concentrated at a CVS that is on the Emory University campus, but it's actually directly across the street from the CDC headquarters here in Atlanta. So officers quickly figured out that the suspect was shooting at the CDC headquarters from across the street. It turned into a gunfight between the suspect and police, and sadly, we later learned that the suspect killed one of the officers who was responding to that active shooter call.
And they blocked the street right here, and the fireman says, run, shooter, run.
Later on, as all of this calmed down, investigators were able to find that suspect fatally shot inside the CVS. And at this point, they say they don't know whether he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound or whether he actually was shot by police during that exchange of gunfire.
My wife called and was whispering on the phone and saying that there's sounds like there's a shooter, glasses breaking all around, and she and several of her colleagues are on the floor.
As all of this was going on, nearby residents were placed on lockdown. There is a daycare that is at the CDC that had 92 children that night. Staff there just had to keep these kids distracted for hours and hours as this was going on. I remember one mom saying that, she had a 1.5-year-old who was inside that building. She was just worried. She just wanted to hug her child, but she just had to wait until officers felt that it was safe enough for them to actually reunite with their kids. And it wasn't until later that night, actually, that they bussed the kids off campus to reunite with their families.
Abube says responding officer that was shot and killed, he had joined the police force in September of last year.
Perhaps the saddest part of all of this is that he's survived by 2 kids and his wife is pregnant with their 3rd child. He was recognized as a class leader at the police academy, and he's actually giving a speech in that video.
From the very first day, we learned that policing isn't just about enforcing the law. It's about protecting the vulnerable, standing for justice, and being the person who runs towards danger when others run away.
And so it just puts that into perspective for you when you think about how he died.
Right. And so then I guess that brings us to the suspect appeared to be then shooting at the CDC headquarters. I mean, do we know what the motive would have been here?
Yeah, so investigators are still trying to determine that motive. They say they're interviewing a lot of people. They have a lot of evidence. This is a very complex investigation. But we have been able to obtain an email. It was sent to employees at the CDC this weekend. And the CDC leadership told the employees that they've learned that this was a targeted attack at the CDC related to COVID. We also have law enforcement sources telling ABC News that, they've done a preliminary assessment, and it shows that the suspect was blaming the COVID-19 vaccine for making him sick and depressed. On top of all of that, my team and I, we went into his neighborhood. We tried to talk to his dad. He declined to comment. But we talked to several neighbors there. They told us that, this 30-year-old identified as Patrick Joseph White would often share his conspiracy theories about the vaccine. One neighbor told me specifically that he thought the vaccines were killing him and that people needed to know the truth, and that he thought that the government and the media were covering up some details.
Because we heard the story on the news, and I just never thought that it would have been the guy right down the street.
And so this was someone who was deep into conspiracy theories, and it seems that this may have been the motivation. But again, we're waiting for official confirmation. I should point out, though, that medical experts have said that the vaccine is safe and effective. But if this was, in fact, the motive, it obviously didn't stop this gunman.
That is Brad Milkey and ABC's Faith Abube on the Start Here podcast.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive, and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman, and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now, as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
There's a photo my wife took of me sitting crisscross on the floor playing Legos with my boys. Might not sound like much, but back in 2020, I couldn't get down there without pain, let alone enjoy it. After 16 weeks on soda and 82 pounds gone, that picture means everything. It's proof that I'm not just present in my kid's life, but I'm active, engaged, and I'm healthy. Soda didn't just give me a plan. It gave me a partner, a personal nutritionist who helped me every step. Through grocery store trips, family vacations, late night cravings, you name it. If you're a parent who wants to be there, not just someday, but right now, go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request a Nutritionist callback. That's sodaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. If the last 2 years of increased auto insurance premiums haven't been enough, brace yourself for the possibility of another big jump. The threat of tariffs are expected to result in a 7% increase by the end of the year. KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez spoke with certified financial planner Jerica Espinosa about the projection.
If tariffs hold, they're projecting that insurance premiums for cars could increase, for auto insurance could increase by 7%. On average, that means about $140 a year for the average individual because of higher costs. And that could affect families, especially if they're living paycheck to paycheck and not paying close attention to their budget. But people are always in control of their premiums. They don't have to be victims to it. They can be proactive and asking for different ways or different things and educating themselves on how to reduce their premium amount.
Espinosa says while tariffs and premiums don't seem to be tied to one another, it's all about the cost of auto parts that could cause such a big jump.
How insurance premiums work is they go up and down every year based off of their loss ratios. So basically, however many accidents people get in, how expensive that costs versus how much money they brought in through premiums. What tariffs have done on some of these is 25% to 50% of a tax when we import parts of our vehicles, whether full vehicles or cars. And so that increases the cost to repair them. So if you get in an accident and you need a part that's made across the seas, well, that now is more expensive. So even if all things were equal from last year to this year, and people got in the same amount of accidents, they're more expensive to fix. So that cost would then trickle down and increase the premiums. And so that would go, it wouldn't be immediately, but that's why they're saying by December-ish, because they went into effect around April and May. And so they're saying that it would increase by December because of the passing along those increased costs.
Espinosa says Utahns could soon be paying around $2,000 a year in car insurance.
As far as what to expect, so if you're following the average, which is around, they say it's around, experts say it's around 1,978, something like that. So if you were going to get a 7% increase, what that translates to is $140 more a year or $11 a month, however you want to describe that. I'm sure that's how everyone would love to spend their Christmas bonus is on the increase in insurance premiums. But just because insurance premiums increase does not mean you have to stay at the same place. You can shop around. You can ask your insurance agent if there's any discounts for good driving, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do. A lot of people haven't even talked to their insurance agent before, so that's a great place to start to see if there's any wiggle room for things. Or some people have cars that have just been on forever and they can lower some of the coverages if they don't drive them often, etc. So there's a lot of different things that people can do to prepare for that.
She also says the problem is amplified by the increased costs of other types of insurance that are needed by families.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, insurance premiums, I'm sure everyone's felt it, have gone up quite a bit, some 10 to 20%. And again, due to those loss ratios of accidents being costs and then costs just being passed down to people. But usually it stays right around that 3 to 5% per year, just a normal inflation cost, which people to expect. But they have, and all sorts of premiums, right? Homeowners insurance, all sorts of stuff around the insurance industry has increased in the last couple of years. And people have felt that and mentioned that specifically as they're looking at that. And there's a lot of conversations around people that are paying for their kids, their adult kids, and just different ways to handle those conversations and if some of the costs should be passed down to the kids, etc. Because of the increased cost of insurance.
Yeah, let's not forget that many people have more than one car.
Some people have 6 to 9 cars on there, and yeah, that would be a big increase if they're all fully insured, and then even more if they've got accidents or tickets or things like that that are making them go up even further, which can be frustrating.
Espinosa says now is the time to talk to an insurance agent and shop around for lower premiums based on your needs. Here's some interesting educational news you may not have known, and it has to deal with the number of students who go from a 2-year college to a 4-year university here in Utah. 3/4 of the students who attend Salt Lake Community College plan to go on for a 4-year degree. College President Greg Peterson says that's not surprising given the average age of their students.
In our Salt Lake Technical College, our students are older. The average age is about 33. So when you're 33, you have a better sense of what you want to do. When you're younger, 18, 19, 20, you just know you want a good job. So the majority of our students come in on a transfer path thinking that that bachelor's degree will get them to a good job. And then we see them majoring in health sciences, right? Because health and nurse is a good job, or a doctor, or we see them in business. That's the other area where most students see the potential to have a good career.
While SLIC focuses on associate's degrees, their mission includes the goals of all types of students.
Our goal is to make sure they get there, that they have some type of credential to build at the SACL as they continue on, and then to make it easier for them to get there. So I think as we talk about, if we see transfer as just an extended career, it's a lot easier for us to think that really our mission is supporting students wherever they are on that continuum.
Peterson also says the number of minority students served by the school has not declined due to the threat of deportation.
The question got asked of, have we seen our students disappear because of the threat of raids or just the fear of the unknown? And the response was no, we haven't, because of our relationships with our community partners. So I think that's the key piece, is that if we try to do it alone, then the volatility, right, building that trust and sustaining it. But if we can partner with communities that can also have that trust, that we're able to then maintain environments that are safe, make sure that we are fulfilling our duties as a public entity and then providing all opportunity possible for our students.
He also says the school's retention rate is good because of the way students can enter and re-enter the system based on their needs. But he also says it's problematic for students on a traditional pathway.
The majority of our students, 75% of our students are part-time. So last year, if we looked at our general student, traditional student body, we had 37,000 students, 27,000 of them were part-time. So the idea is that by giving something shorter, a student can, we don't call it dropout, we call it stop out. They can stop out, they get the credential, stop out, they can work, gain money, and then come back for the next step. So everything we build is stackable so that doesn't deter them from continuing on to complete that 4-year psychology degree that they're really interested in. But the challenge is, if you think of return on investment for a student, if you're on a traditional pathway for a transfer degree, you don't get your ROI until you've completed 60 credits and you transfer and get that associate's degree, or even further after. Our part-time students struggle because that's not only 4 years, that's 8 years, 9 years. So their ROI, if we can get them something, they get a certificate, they get some bump in pay, they're able to sustain their families to be able to continue that pathway on. We lose more students on that traditional pathway. And when we lose them, they lose out because they haven't gained from that experience.
Greg Peterson is the president of Salt Lake Community College.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird.
Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. Salt Lake City residents are reacting to last night's fire on Main Street that severely damaged 4 popular businesses. Brandon Jones was driving by when he saw the flames.
I pulled over, came in as an officer, and he told me it was these buildings, and my heart sank. I mean, it's just a staple of the city.
Jones says he frequently picks up and drops off people for Uber in front of those businesses and says he loves eating out at Whiskey Street. He says he hopes the community can rally around the business owners and employees and help them feel whole again. The Beulah fire off Mirror Lake Highway in Summit County continues to grow in size. It burned another 400 acres yesterday, which means 3,300 acres have now burned. There's still no containment on the fire. A community meeting is scheduled tonight at 7 in Evanston. Ford recalling over 100,000 F-150 pickups.
Ford is recalling 2023 to 2025 F-150s equipped with a trailer tow max duty package because of the possibility of a vehicle rolling away on its own or a loss of drive power. A rear axle hub bolt might fatigue and break, allowing the truck to roll away while it's in park, or a loss of power while it's being driven. Ford indicates there are no known accidents or injuries from the issue. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow ends the day up 484 points. S&P 500 and NASDAQ also both in positive territory. Coming up, more sunshine and more heat. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 2:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Did you hear?
A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Virl Johansson.
Well, we're starting to see some typical slowdown settling in southbound I-15 in Midville, right around the south interchange with I-215. Just some typical slowdown starting to settle in there. Outside of that, though, on Utah's major freeways, whether that's northbound I-15 or the rest of the 215 belt, it's looking like a nice drive with no major delays. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're headed up to 96 degrees today before hitting our low of 70 overnight tomorrow. Brace for some heat. It'll be a good day to hit the pool. 100 degrees for the high. Right now, you've got sunny skies and 93 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. While the air quality in the Salt Lake Valley this summer has been better than in past years, inversion trapped in our air is a big concern for those with health conditions such as asthma. In our latest Health Matters on Midday, I spoke to family medicine doctor Richard Ferguson, who tells me there's a greater prevalence of asthma in Utah than in other parts of the country.
10 or to 11% of Utah adults have asthma, and about 7% of Utah children. So that's our kind of prevalence right now. Nationally, just in comparison, it varies based on state. It's 5 to 10% of the U.S. population is asthmatic. And it typically develops, we have more of our allergic asthma, typically in childhood. But then there's also non-allergic asthma that often can develop in those greater than 40. But yes, it's kind of like a 10% of adults or 11% of adults and about 7% of children. And one thing I think many people, as you said, our air quality hasn't, been as bad as, I think you remember the fire, the Dixie fire from August 6, 2021. You remember that date? That was a really, really, really bad air quality day. And I did not realize that, and I did something unwise. I took my family on a hike. So once again, increased exposure outdoors. I'm a non-asthmatic, so didn't think about it. But one of my family's members did have mild asthma, and I took them on an Ensign Peak hike on that day. Should have done much better because they ended up being a mild exacerbation of their allergies and their asthma for about 2 days. That had to be brought down with frequent short-acting use of their inhaler, but also even steroids. So one thing to pay attention to, since I did back a couple of years ago, is our air quality index. So that's something that you will see when you're looking at KSL News, ABC, when you're on your news station and the weatherman or weatherwoman is up. They will often have that green, yellow, orange, red, sort of that dot by air quality, by the temperature. That is telling you what's the level of air pollution and which group should be more concerned about their exposure and how long they should be outside, especially during yellow, orange, and red days. Even black days. I'm often a big runner. I myself will avoid anything that's red. I will not run day or night on a red day. Orange days, shorten my run. But for someone that's in a higher risk group, a known asthmatic since childhood, or your child has asthma, you need to reduce, let's say they're doing a sports practice, they need to reduce how long they are running outside or to make sure that they are pre-medicated before they start, especially if they get worse with exercise, especially when it comes to an orange or a yellow day. We can't really take those for granted because it's slowly, those particulates, we can't visibly see them, but people don't realize what you're exposed to in the day can make your night a lot worse.
Let's go back for a second. You mentioned that children, so let me understand if I have this right, their asthma is usually triggered by some sort of allergy. Just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So allergic asthma. So indoor and outdoor allergens. So some of the most common are pollen and mold. And then when it comes to indoor allergens, that can often trigger asthma exacerbations or worsening asthma. It can be something as simple as an allergy to dust mites, also indoor mold, pet dander, or fur. So those type of triggers complicate when someone has poor air quality or very cold air, which we do actually get quite a bit of here in our winters.
But then you mentioned that some adults get asthma, and to me that's kind of concerning because they may not even know, at the onset that that's what the problem is.
Oh, of course, yeah, because asthma can be, if we just want to talk about some of the features, it can start off as just a persistent dry cough that's, say, worse at night, or a cough with exercise. It doesn't always have to be an audible wheeze. It can just be like, wow, I'm playing with Beehive soccer, and I'm playing in Liberty Park, and afterwards, I'm a little short of breath, and then it just sort of slowly eases once they go into, say, a cleaner air environment, such as indoor filtered air, and then their shortness of breath or tightness goes away. So sometimes it can be something as simple as getting in a deep breath or unable to fully exhale as much as you would like. It could be some of those subtle early symptoms of adult onset that can actually be a result of non-allergic form of asthma. So you can have cough variant, exercise-induced, and we also have to consider occupational-induced asthma when we're exposed to certain particulates in, say, a factory or plant or in mining industry.
So you mentioned that this is more slow to come on, so people probably don't know that they have it originally, but I'm assuming that it always gets worse at that point after you have that initial kind of slow onset period?
Yes. If you're not avoiding triggers or managing it, it often can get worse.
What does an action plan look like, and how important is it for folks who are struggling with asthma to have one?
So this is something you work out with your doc. It's a simple card where it'll have a green area, which is if you're breathing well, no cough or wheeze. It already kind of you're stating the medications you're currently on, how much of them that you're taking, and how often. When you get in the yellow, that's when your baseline daily medication isn't effective, and you're starting to, let's say you have signs of a cold, or you're starting to have that impact of that trigger from being outside running, or you have a mild wheeze or some chest tightness, or you're starting to cough at night. It'll tell you how to change your medications that you have on hand that are long-acting, such as ones that you take every day. It may actually involve saying, all right, if you start to feel this way, increase your dose until you go back down to the green level where you no longer have a cough, no longer have a wheeze. Or it'll be something such as you now need to take your as-needed inhaler, increase the frequency instead of once a day as needed. Now you're doing it possibly 3 times a day as needed. And then usually at this point, you're trying to possibly call to schedule to get in with your provider that manages your asthma. And then the red zone is telling you what to do. Medicines aren't helping, or breathing is very hard. You're starting to have noises that are very loud wheezes that may be occurring, or your ribs may be showing in your child. Those are medications that you're trying to max out. If you're not getting any benefit in, say, the next hour or 2 hours, that's when you're going to the emergency room. Sometimes I'd have to say about only 10% or so of folks that I've taken care of in the emergency room, where I say, all right, do you have an asthma action plan that kind of led you here? Do you have one? And only about 10%. Often, I think either people don't remember after maybe their first visit, or they're not going to discuss them as they should annually when it comes to managing. So that's one thing that you can do that's proactive, that you can use to manage your symptoms on these poor air quality days.
All right. Dr. Ferguson, anything you'd like to add that maybe I failed to ask you?
I would just say if you are inside and you're an asthmatic, make sure that on bad air quality days or throughout the summer make sure you're changing your filter for your furnace, your AC, your AC or furnace dual. Make sure that's changed out probably almost a little more regularly, so that at least when you're home, your air is filtered and cleaner than outside. Sometimes we forget to do that. And also make sure that you're changing your linen and your sheets regularly, because there's quite a bit of allergens that can kind of rest on that, especially, let's say, if you're opening the windows at night, it gets cooler in our evenings, and we don't realize that we're letting in that poor quality air that eventually gets into our filter and gets on many objects in our home.
Dr. Richard Ferguson is an ER doctor and the founder of the Black Physicians of Utah.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic. Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life.
I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. We are now learning about a scary situation last week when a car was stolen with a baby inside from the Gateway parking garage. Luckily, the man stopped just long enough for the mother to grab her baby back. But kids and car safety say that we've already had 51 cases of kids left unattended in a car that wound up being stolen. Amber Rollins is the director of Kids and Car Safety, and she joined me live earlier today to break down those numbers.
These cases really are all very similar. They don't happen in quote unquote bad neighborhoods. They're happening in places where people least expect it to happen and where they feel kind of comfortable walking away from their car for a minute. Mostly, places like convenience store parking lots, the driveway of people's homes. Car thieves are watching and waiting because these are crimes of opportunity. They know people are going to leave their car running or their keys sitting inside just to run in somewhere real quick. And most of the time, they have no idea there's a child in the back seat until they've already taken off with that car and the child in tow. And you can imagine the panic that sets in as soon as they realize, oh my gosh, I have now stolen a car and a child. And really, really scary things happen after that. We've had high-speed chases, children dumped on the side of the road. We've even had situations where the child lost their life. So this is easily preventable and something that, it's just don't leave them in the car, not even for a minute.
We know that parents are stressed out. They're frazzled these days. Are there some options for them?
Yeah, especially coming out of the pandemic, we have so many different options. So, we always tell parents, set yourself up for success. Do your shopping online, do the grocery delivery, eliminate those risks, pay at the pump, and just know that it's never okay to put our convenience above the safety of our children. I'm a mom. I've got kids in the 5-point harness, and I know it's a lot of work to buckle, unbuckle, especially if you forgot something inside and you're just going to run in for 1 second. What could go wrong? I think that's what goes through people's minds. And a lot can go wrong in less than a minute. So it's just make it a 100% rule that you never leave the kids alone in the car, not even to run back into the garage to grab something.
That is Amber Rollins, the director of Kids and Car Safety. We are getting closer to the official start of the college football season, and KSL will be there every step of the way with BYU football and basketball, too. Beginning next Monday, August 18th, KSL will launch a new nightly update show on the Cougars. It will air from 6:30 to 7. BYU insider Mitch Harper will have the latest analysis of the Cougars' quarterback battle, Big 12 matchups, and the opening game on August 30th. Can't listen at night? You can catch Mitch's video podcast of Cougar Tracks each day on the KSL Sports YouTube page. It's a show that you just don't want to miss.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, you can win a pair of tickets to Lagoon. Lagoon, it's what fun is. Or win free tickets to an upcoming Real Salt Lake home match. While you're there, nominate a teacher to be featured on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall. Presented by Cypress Credit Union. What are you waiting for? Enter now. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You were listening to a replay of an earlier episode of Midday with Maria Shilaos. This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The powerful force of wind on full display in movies.
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows. Another cow.
Actually, I think that was the same one.
And in real life, we did not have cows in Salt Lake City's tornado, but it touched down 26 years ago today. KSL TV broke that news that day.
We've got some breaking news this afternoon. Reports of what is either being called a major windstorm. Some are saying a tornado has blown through Salt Lake City.
This tornado passed between our Triad Center and the Delta Center.
The general manager, who had been up on the second floor, he had a corner office. He came down the back stairs and came into the newsroom and said, "Everybody, go downstairs into the basement. There's a tornado coming." You know, we're all news people. We did nothing.
Joining me for this story is Midday executive producer and the lover of natural disasters in general, Andy Cupp.
Maria,
Yes. I forced you into doing this one because you don't get to talk about yourself enough on this show.
Yeah,
and so this is an opportunity. I want to know
I'm ready.
what it was like because you were working here. I mean, we just listened to KSL TV, but KSL News Radio was also there in the thick of it.
We broke it before them, by the way.
Probably. Recap the day for us, Maria. What was it like?
So I was sitting in this very room, this very same master control. We were doing the noon show, and at that point we had 2 hosts doing the show. And suddenly the power went out. And so Scott Seeger was running the board, and the power went out. I looked across the street, and at that time we had the Outdoor Retailers Expo setting up tents in the parking lot across the street. And we went from a beautiful day like it is today, and within minutes it was black outside, and the tents across the street were bouncing up and down. Now, you have to understand, I have 2 little boys, right, at home. And just months earlier, in January of that same year, we had had this shooting here at Triad Center where I was stuck under this desk for quite a long period of time. I get more dramatic every year. I think I make it longer. But when that happened and the alarm was going on out in the newsroom, I I left the room. I totally abandoned ship. And I ran down the stairs and got about halfway down the hallway down the stairs before my husband called. He worked at Utah Woolen Mills, the top floor at that time, and said, "It's okay. It's past us." And so then I came back. So I was only out of the room for maybe a minute max. But I totally abandoned the ship because I was so freaked out that I'd leave these 2 little kids without a parent.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
I was running for cover.
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy afternoon after that because you know what? All the systems go down. Communication systems go down. And our reporters couldn't, report on their 2 ways like they normally did. We have cell phones now, but that wasn't really the case back in 1999. And so they really couldn't call in and give reports. And so what ended up happening is, since it was happening all outside of our windows here, they would run out to the street and interview people. And seriously, South Temple was shattered glass. All the way from the Delta Center, the one half of the Delta Center was pretty much taken out. The hotel across the street here, all the glass was taken out. And the one person who did die was under one of those tents that I was telling you was bouncing up and down. And that tornado just moved all the way up South Temple. Didn't take out a crane, which was doing some construction work. We have construction work now at the temple. Didn't touch that, but went up to Capitol Hill, and it took out all of these gorgeous trees that had been there for years and years and years. So that's why the Capitol grounds now don't have very many trees because they were taken out, and then took out the roofs of several houses up in the avenues as well.
No, and it's just a crazy experience. I remember hearing about it driving through on a family trip in Montana at the time, and it was big news because Salt Lake City had never had
and haven't had one since. 26 years. Oh, knock on wood. Okay. Yes, I am.
Say it's still early. But I mean, how long was your day? How long were you on air after that had happened?
Well, I'm always on air till 7 o'clock. And I do think that we went until, I don't remember that day going till after 7 o'clock, even though on 9/11, that day was incredibly long. But yeah, no, till 7 o'clock.
Well, and as you drive around Salt Lake City today, do you ever have those memories of the destruction? I mean, you were just saying you can't even believe it's been 26 years.
Right. When I go up to Capitol Hill for sure, because I used to be a beat reporter on Capitol Hill, so I spent a lot of time up on Capitol Hill. Whenever I drive up to Capitol Hill now, since I don't go up there very often, I am just struck at how bare it is compared to what it used to be. So yeah, I have those moments.
Jeff, have you ever lived through a tornado?
When I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
We were at a circus, a big top circus, and the wind started blowing and knocking the tent over, and my mother grabbed the 2 kids, us, and we ran for our lives, and it just made The Wizard of Oz more poignant.
Oh, for sure.
No, there's something to be said about the power of wind.
Well, and what to me, one of the most striking things is just how quickly it happened. And we had a beautiful day, and it really seemed like it was within minutes that it hit, and the skies were black. And that just to see those bouncing, I'll never forget that sight of those bouncing tents across the street. And it wasn't surprising to me that someone who had been setting up for the outdoor retailers market or whatever you call it out there, expo, that's the word I'm looking for, would be killed under those tents because literally they looked like, so you know how a tent